So, hi everybody. It is my great pleasure to introduce you today, Jim Shields. Hey Jim, how's it going?
Good, Scott. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, is that a surfboard in the background?
That is a surfboard in the background.
Don't tell me you're in Florida.
I'm in Florida. Yes, sir. Warm Florida.
All right, we're up here in New York. I don't think it's quite as warm up here yet.
Not yet. Yeah, I grew up in the Northeast. I'm a Jersey boy, so I'm used to the cold, but I don't miss it.
So I was really excited to have you. Thank you so much for coming on with us. We just wanted to basically get a brief introduction to you and your work. And
Sure.
we've got at the Young Child Expo and Conference, we've got lots of educators that work with families. So
Yeah.
we impact hundreds and thousands of families. And by way of introduction, Jim Shields, the author of the Family Board Meeting, and he has been working with families over many years. Families of entrepreneurs, families of all kinds of families to help them have a better family life. And he's pioneered and come up with some great techniques that allow families to connect more, to thrive more, and to get over difficult times. So I just want to kick it off with you, Jim, and ask, like, how did you get interested in this?
Yeah, I kind of fell backwards into it. I think we go into things sometimes that we need for ourselves. So there definitely was the need for me to be able to fulfill a promise I had made to myself that I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I also wanted to be a good family man. And I just found that a lot of entrepreneur groups that I was in, there was lots of things helping me learn about how to grow my business, scale my business, better strategies in my business. But there wasn't much on the personal side. And it seemed like if you wanted to learn more about family life, you almost had to get a PhD in like family psychology, which I really didn't have the desire or the time. So I started to try to find simple principles and frameworks that I could design and put to use for my own family. And that's how the book came along. I never thought that was going to take off. I never thought I'd be talking on stages across the world about this simple strategy that helped me reconnect with my family. But that's what came about. And I just think there's an importance out there, Scott, where again, we all want to grow our business and we should. But as we grow our businesses, I want to make sure families come along with the entrepreneur. And that's such an important part of the theme of what we do, success in business and success at home. And we try to show you how to do that.
Yeah, so all families have issues,
Oh, yeah.
more well-to-do, more challenged, everybody. But why don't you tell us about the family board meeting? Like, what is that, and how does that help a family?
Yeah, well, what I've found is, and again, like you said very well, Scott, if I've learned anything in the last 10 years of doing this work, there is no perfect family. That saying perfect family, that's probably the worst thing that's ever been created against family life. There's no perfect family, not that I've ever met. Family life's not about perfection. It's about bridging imperfections. And when we're running busy, when different things are happening, how do we save ourselves from ourselves? Well, I found that if we just put some simple rhythms into place, that can be one of the best things that can hold the family strong, hold them together in good times or bad. So the family board meeting is about the power of setting very intentional rhythms. And we're not talking 50 or 60 rhythms, we're talking two or three. And the book really goes into one that I designed with my sons that helped keep our relationship strong, connected, and open,
Hmm.
which is what we all want. We work so hard on the business side so we can have that, but we can get lost up in the details in the busyness. So the family board meeting is showing you how to slow things down, how to stay connected with your family, and how to stay consistent. Because man, consistency can be a really hard thing, especially for fire red entrepreneurs like myself.
Type A's, maybe?
Yeah, oh yeah, lots of type A's out there, Scott.
Well, everybody's got stuff going on. Everybody's busy. And in terms of, keeping it real and getting down, helping kids, why don't you just tell us when you started this whole concept, you did it with yourself, right?
Yeah, I did it with my son. So I have four children, two adopted, two biological. And I'm coming into a boy's life at the age of 7 and 5 is about as awkward as asking a girl to dance for the first time in seventh grade. Terrible, terrible. You want to do it, but you're just ill-equipped.
Right.
And I just started to have these private meetings with each of them, and it completely revolutionized our relationship and
Mhm.
concreted our family. So, and it overcame some big things that my sons had gone through before I was with them.
And then now you combine so that you have the whole family, right?
We do meetings with our whole family and then individually. I tell people one of the most important things that they can do, if I've learned anything, is you have to separate the parts to strengthen the whole. Get together as a family, but get together individually. Each kid is an individual. They start individuality by the age of 9. One-on-one time is just the most potent connector for a real relationship, and
Mhm.
it can springboard your relationship, and it happens so rarely. Some entrepreneurs that I interview, I said, when was the last time you were one-on-one with, they say they had 4 kids. When was the last time you were one-on-one with them for 3 to 4 hours? The answer is, I don't remember a time. So you have to be intentional and scheduled. But one-on-one time, as I talk about in the book, is such an easy way to upgrade the relationship.
So, our conference is about young children, especially. A lot of the participants here, they might have older children, like 3 adolescents, for example. Um, but like, how young can kids really participate in like a family board meeting?
2.5. So I have kids ranging from 3 to 16 right now. So I have toddler meltdowns and teen grumpiness right now. So and all of them get involved. And I found by the age of 2.5, my son and daughter, once we had started this, they recognize one-on-one time with dad as young as 2.5. So we started at 2.5.
Well, I'm sure that like everybody here has their own personal challenges in their family at
Mhm.
times. And also we're working with families that have a lot of challenges. So like, could you give us an example of, some like maybe challenging situation, maybe that you've had or with families you've worked with, and like how the board meeting has helped them through it?
Well, I'll go into some fundamentals of the board meeting, but let's talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room. I mean, right now, everyone's been brought home, right? Family life, school, work, it's all happening at home, and none of us
Yes.
were used to that pressure. So, a
Right.
couple of things that I want to say for the overall picture that then can be really helpful. I would recommend that every person, every educator says to the parents, to themselves, and to the kids, it's not their fault. And now that sounds really simplistic, like, oh, well, yeah, I know that. I know that. No, but stop and think, because subconsciously, the way that you're responding,
Mhm.
the actions that you're showing towards your family, could you maybe be taking this situation of all being home out on them? And it's not their fault. None of
Mhm.
us knew this was coming. The same thing where I've worked with teens where I've said, hey, I know that you're missing your friends and you're missing sports and some big social gatherings, but it's not your parents' fault. And if we can all just take that into consideration, say, hey, this isn't anyone's fault in this family. Let's give each other that courtesy and grace. That's been a huge saving point.
Mhm.
And with that, no one wants to talk about this, but there's going to be meltdowns and grumpiness and anxiety and things that people are going through. Again, I have tons of friends in New York that are going through some big stuff. But what I found is, Scott, things are going to happen. And there's something that I call the setback recovery. You want to have a quick setback recovery, then apologize fast and apologize sincerely. It's such a simple thing, but these are going to happen. I've talked to tons of families in the last month. If there's a setback, there's a little argument, apologize fast and sincerely, because then it can be a 10-minute issue instead of a 3-day issue. And let me just give this footnote. That doesn't mean one of those backhand apologies where you go, well, I'm sorry that you're having a bad day. Those don't work very well. I mean, we've all
Yeah.
tried those, but the simplicity and power and potency of a sincere apology is just so key right now because we're kind of stepping on each other.
Well, the power of apology is huge, and also, especially with the younger kid, maybe. What about the kid who doesn't think they should apologize because they didn't do anything wrong?
Well, here's what I can tell you. We need to set the leadership tone. Is this 100% foolproof to get rid of toddler meltdowns and teen grumpiness? Absolutely not. But we set the tone, and there is a trickle down effect. So if you're showing anxiety, I call it work puking. If you're work puking in your living room where you're taking a call that's, pretty heated or on a text, you're setting the tone. And what I tell people is, before you say, well, they won't apologize, you need to set the leadership tone. You need to be the first to set that example. And secondly, you really need to look at what kind of tone are you setting. I'm not discounting all the issues that you're going through, but you might be setting a tone that shows anxiety and bitterness and anger, and that, whether they realize, they might be reflecting it back. You also might be setting a tone where what you're working on is above and beyond, more important than anyone else. Hey man, I'm trying to keep together the business and pay the mortgage. All you're dealing with is this. And what I found with working with a lot of families, Scott, the worst thing we can do, especially if everything's been brought home, and let's say one spouse is ahead of the family enterprise, they're really working hard. They're handling things that have never been done. If you discount those efforts by elevating yourself, saying, well, the business is so important, this is, and it is, believe me, I run 2 businesses, I know, but you cannot discount what your spouse is going through. You can't discount what your children are going through. I mean, again, it's easy at 45 to say, oh, that's not a big deal. But at 14, to lose all my friends, all my sports, all my social gatherings, you don't discount what each person is going through, because it's hard for any of us to comprehend the real experience of each other.
Yeah, so Jim, like, the importance of validating other people's feelings and their issues and
Yes, exactly.
acknowledging. So,
Exactly.
like another really big, another big thing for you is 18 Summers. And I
Yeah.
love that. Just the term alone, is beautiful. Maybe you could share with people, what that's all about.
Yeah. A mentor of
18
mine.
Summers.
Yeah. It's a very powerful math equation that was introduced to me by a mentor of mine. And basically, the statistics show that the average person will spend 85% of the time they ever have with their children by the end of the 18th summer, because they go off and they're less available going into adulthood. And that
Yeah.
number really shocked me. Now, if you have kids over the age of 18, does that mean that it's over? No, absolutely not. But make the most of that time. And I think even if you give an awareness, maybe it's not 15% left, it's 20, 25, 30%. And if your kids are under the age of 18, like again, I adopted my 2 oldest sons at 7 and 5. I thought, man, wait a minute. I only have 11 left with my oldest son. It sounded so short and so, such a small amount of time,
Yeah.
that it gave me a positive motivation, Scott. And when you do that simple math, I think it can really increase your motivation to make the most of the time. So I think of that math equation all the time. I share it with people all the time. We named the company 18 Summers. It's just to show that the years, as a good friend of mine, David Bach, always says, the years are not all created equal. We have a golden opportunity if our kids are below the age of 18 to really make the most of some quality time put in front of us. And it won't be here forever.
Mhm. So, I just want to let you know, I personally, when I heard about that concept,
Hmm.
I really refocused, and we have spent really awesome summers and awesome trips, but partially because I'm like, okay, I know I'm busy, I don't have the money, whatever the time, but something, it's going to end. It's going to end at 18 probably. So I've got to prioritize and put the time in. So, Jim, this has been awesome. Before we leave, I just want people that are interested in your work to know, like, how can they find you, what other things you do, and how they can learn more about the book and your work.
Sure. Yeah, I do a lot of talks, workshops, and retreats with entrepreneur groups like EO and other organizations. They can look us up on 18summers.com. We're going to be releasing our Family Academy program that everyone's been asking for. So that's going to be coming out. And you can look us up on Facebook at 18 Summers Family and join our private community if you want. The book is a very short read because I'm an ADD entrepreneur. So I made it short and sweet so you guys can get through it easily. And you can find that on Amazon as well. So, but again, it's been an honor and pleasure being here, Scott, and just make the most of the time we have. We can reframe the situation and really make this a pretty special time, even with tough things happening.
Beautiful ideas. Thank you so much for your work, and thanks for being here today. Have an awesome day. Jim, you rock. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you all. Be safe. Take
Bye-bye.
care.